When the camera was invented in the 1800s, something changed forever. For the first time in history, we could photograph life as it truly existed. Every creature, every moment captured. But for some animals, the camera arrived just in time to record one final thing, their last breath. Today, I'm going to show you the last photos ever taken of 7 animals that no longer exist, and the heartbreaking stories behind each one. At first glance, you'd think this was a zebra, but look closer. The stripes only cover the front half of its body. The back half fades into solid brown. Its legs, pure white. This wasn't a zebra. This was the quagga, a unique subspecies that lived only in the dry grasslands of southern Africa and looked like nothing else on Earth. For centuries, quaggas roamed in large herds across the Karoo Plains. They were social animals, calm, grazing quietly under the African sun. Locals and settlers both knew them well, but that familiarity became their death sentence. When Dutch and British settlers spread across southern Africa in the 1800s, they assumed quaggas were everywhere, endless, untouchable. Therefore, hunting exploded. Their hide was sold for leather. Their meat fed families. The grazing land was taken for farms. Nobody thought to slow down because nobody thought they could run out. They were wrong. By 1878, only one quagga remained in captivity, a lone female at the Amsterdam Zoo. When she died in 1883, the zoo simply sent a request for another, but there were no more. The last wild quagga had already disappeared 5 years earlier, and no one had even noticed. The photo you're seeing right now is believed to be the only photograph ever taken of a living quagga, shot in London in 1870. A single image of an animal that was already running out of time, while the world looked the other way. Imagine looking up at the sky and watching it go dark. Not from clouds, not from a storm, from birds. Passenger pigeons once moved across North America in flocks so massive they blocked out the sun for hours. A single flock could stretch for hundreds of miles. There were billions of them, more than any other bird on the continent. Naturalists describe the sound as a rolling thunder that lasted for days. Then humans discovered they were easy to catch and delicious. Hunters didn't just hunt them, they slaughtered them by the millions, netting them, shooting them, burning their roosting trees. Passenger pigeons became cheap food, shipped in barrels across the country. What seemed like an endless supply vanished in less than 50 years. By 1900, they were gone from the wild. Every single one. Only a few survived in captivity. The very last of her kind was a female named Martha, living at the Cincinnati Zoo. Keepers watched over her carefully, knowing what she represented. On September 1st, 1914, Martha died. She was 29 years old. The photo you see here shows Martha in her enclosure, shortly before her death. A bird who once belonged to a species that numbered in the billions, now alone, the last of her kind, waiting in a cage for an end that would take an entire species with her. For 20 million years, a dolphin lived in the Yangtze River in China, not the ocean, a river. The Chinese called her the goddess of the Yangtze. She used sonar to hunt through muddy water, navigating a river she had called home longer than our species has existed. In the 1950s, thousands of Baiji swam through the Yangtze. By the 1980s, a few hundred. By the late 1990s, barely a dozen. Pollution clouded the water. Commercial fishing stripped her food supply. Cargo ship propellers struck dolphins that couldn't see them coming. Then came the Three Gorges Dam, which destroyed the last stretches of safe habitat. One male, named Chi-Chi, survived in captivity for 22 years. When he died in 2002, hope nearly died with him. In 2006, an expedition spent 39 days searching the entire Yangtze with sonar and dozens of boats. They found nothing. The Baiji was declared functionally extinct, the first dolphin species ever wiped out by human activity. A creature that survived ice ages and 20 million years of change, undone by less than half a century of human industry. This animal looked like someone had taken a dog and striped it like a tiger. The Thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, was neither. It was a carnivorous marsupial, raising its young in a pouch, hunting across the grasslands of Tasmania for millions of years. When European settlers arrived, they decided it was a threat to sheep. The evidence was thin, but the fear was real, and the government made it profitable. From 1888 to 1909, the Tasmanian government paid bounties for every thylacine killed. 1 pound per adult, half a pound per pup. Over 2,000 animals in 20 years. By the 1930s, only one remained, a female, alone at Hobart Zoo in Tasmania. On September 7, 1936, she died. Records suggest she was left outside in the cold overnight. No special care, no ceremony. Just a locked cage and a cold Tasmanian night. The footage you're watching shows her pacing her enclosure in her final weeks, yawning, stretching, unaware she was the last of her kind. The Thylacine was declared extinct in 1986, exactly 50 years after her death. The western black rhino once moved through the forests of West and Central Africa like a living tank, its thick gray skin folded like armor. 2 keratin horns swept forward from its skull, the same material as human fingernails, but worth more per gram than gold on the black market. That was the problem. Across Asia, rhino horn had become a symbol of wealth and power, falsely believed to hold medicinal properties. Poachers flooded into Africa. Entire subspecies were being eliminated, not for food, not for survival, but for a single horn, ground into powder and sold. By 1980, fewer than 100 western black rhinos remained. By 2000, 10. By 2006, a field survey in Cameroon found nothing. In 2011, the western black rhino was officially declared extinct. Today, only photographs remain, a ghost outlined in images. His name was Lonesome George, the last Penta Island tortoise on Earth. Scientists found him in 1971, wandering alone on Penta Island in the Galapagos, a species believed to already be extinct. For decades, researchers searched for a mate. They offered $100,000 to anyone who could find a female. Nothing worked. George lived under careful protection at the Charles Darwin Research Station. He became the symbol of extinction itself, a reminder that once a species narrows to one individual, it is already gone. It just hasn't stopped breathing yet. On June 24, 2012, a keeper arrived at his enclosure and found him dead. Estimated age, over 100 years old. 100 years of survival ended quietly on a warm Galapagos morning. No animal on this list is more famous for its extinction than the dodo. It lived on the island of Mauritius, a stocky, flightless bird with a hooked beak and small, useless wings. For thousands of years, it lived on an island with no natural predators. It had never needed to fear anything. That trust made it the easiest prey in history. In 1598, Dutch sailors landed on Mauritius. The dodos walked toward them, curious. Less than 80 years later, they were gone, hunted and finished off by the rats, pigs, and monkeys that followed from the ships. Almost nobody took the dodo seriously while it was alive. It was mocked, called stupid. It wasn't until it disappeared that people understood what had happened. It existed for millions of years. We erased it in less than a human lifetime. Each of these animals had survived ice ages, mass extinctions, and millions of years of change. It took us far less time to end them. The photos you've seen today are all that remain, frozen moments of creatures that will never exist again. A reminder that extinction isn't something that happened in the past. For some of these animals, it happened within living memory. If you want to see more stories like these, check out the video on screen right now and subscribe, because there are far more animals on this list than 7.